Fanzone, united by the game, powered by MWOS World of Sport.
Welcome to Fanzone, your hottest and latest destination for all Zimbabwean sport. We're bringing you passion, drama and non-stop action, all happening here in the Fanzone studio. My name is Sips.
And I'm Steve Vickers. So Scotland are almost there, edging Moors 1-0 on a Saturday in the Castle Lager Premier Soccer League, only needing one win now from their last three games to be crowned champions in their debut season. 1-1 between the Highlanders and Dynamos. So Dynamos ended the weekend back in the bottom four. What's the situation for them? And Caps United looking relatively okay now after their victory against Manica Diamonds. So much to talk about on the show. Great guests as always. Welcome back to Star FM sportscaster Simba Chiminya.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Great to have you with us. Interesting developments in Division 1 Simba will tell us about. And Alois Bunjira, Caps United legend, is with us. Hi, Alois.
Hello, Steve. How are you?
Good. You're not sweating over relegation anymore?
No, not really. We are not out of the woods yet, but we comfortable.
Right, we'll talk about that game. Also, with Alois, the NetOne Albun Honde Valley Marathon is on next month. It's becoming a huge event, and Alois will tell us all about this, but it's going to be a really exciting edition, yeah?
Yeah, it is going to be very exciting, our third edition now, and it's growing bigger and bigger. And we are excited about this year because there is so much that is happening this year.
And happening in the beautiful Eastern Highlands, Sips.
Yeah, well, there's so much to talk about. So let's dive right into the match day roundup results in the match day 31 over the weekend. Obviously, Scotland taking on Moors at Rafaro Stadium. A one-goal win for their home side as they edge out Moors. An assist from Walter and well nodded into the net by Knowledge. So, what did you think of this game, Steve? What was going on?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. It lived up to expectations. Narrow, tough for the Moors fans. They were there in numbers. Even an hour and a half before the game, the City End stand was pretty packed with Moors supporters. The goal was beautiful from Knowledge, nutmegging the defender and finishing off from about 10 yards. It was a real top-notch goal from him. Walter, I thought, was outstanding. Offside decision that didn't go Moore's way. That was a really important moment in the match there. But the quality of the Scotland side so strong, and it was a very, very good quality contest.
Yeah, they stepped up to the plate. Knowledge's goal, although he was 1-on with the keeper, was still well executed, and he pinged it into the top corner. Simba, Scotland have stretched the lead by 6 points. Are they going to win the title this year?
Yeah, of course, definitely Sips, because you look at the way that their opponents have been playing. Look at Zimbabwe since their exit from the Champions League. They have been really performing well and also failing to get consecutive wins. So I think it's for Scotland to lose, but there's no way they are going to lose. Look at the opponent that they are going to face. Next, it's going to be Kwekwe United, and I think they're going to get a number of goals. Once they get a win in that one, it's sealed. So for Scotland, I don't think there's any team that is going to really stop them right now. And also looking at the players that they have.
Yeah, there's some real class. Alex, I want to ask you, because you've also played in the PSL. Yeah. What does it say about our league that debutants are winning, in their first season ever? Is it a case of good competition? Is it a case of, teams with more financial stability have the upper hand? How is this managing to happen?
I think it's more to do with recruitment that they did. Look, the first step, they went for the coach that was actually the reigning champion. They took him away from Zimbabwe just after winning the league championship, brought him in. That culture of winning and the recruitment that he did, the players that he brought in. At first, what they did? They I don't know, ensure that not Kukukuja. That's what they did at first. They just took everybody and anybody who was available. They put him in there. Then they started working for a good Then they started going backwards to start actually pinpointing the good players that they wanted. Then if you look at the roster of Scotland from the beginning of the season and up to now, I think they can have players up to 60 players or even 70. But the best thing that they did now is they went back. They started cherry picking the very good players. So for me, it was all about recruitment. We once noticed this. We once actually experienced this in 1983, 84. when Black Rhinos came into the Super League. Then they cherry-picked good players from Dynamos and Cape United and a few from the other clubs, and they formed a very good team, and they won the league in their first season. That's exactly what Scotland has done. So it's not something that is new to us. When we saw this happening, the writing was on the wall that it might just happen. But the only difference this time around, there was some resistance from the fans, the public. They really didn't like Scotland. Scotland, to be honest, is one of the most hated clubs in the country, to be honest. And people were just fighting a losing battle. They just didn't want Scotland to win, but the writing was on the wall that they were going to win. And slowly others started appreciating that this is actually a good side. They resigned to the fact that this was a good side. And when they started winning games, you could actually see that this is a side that was going to win. When they signed Knowledge Msona, for me, I think that was the turning point. Yeah, it was confirmed. When they signed Knowledge Msona, it was confirmed that they were champions. And I even wrote it on my wall that this league championship is gone.
Yeah, moment of brilliance from Knowledge settled it. What do you think about Great Warriors coming back, finishing their careers at home? Because I never thought we'd see Kamabilia to Knowledge Musona playing together for the same team in the Castle Lager PSL.
That is actually brilliant and awesome, good for Zimbabwean football as well. Unfortunately for a lot of other Zimbabwean footballers, they never did that. I saw it with Stuart Murisa did that, Agent Sau, Adam Ndlovu also did that. Peter Ndlovu also did that.
But Peter not
really was already out of his depth. But it's quite good for Zimbabwean football, and it uplifts the game. And obviously, the young, inspired boys, they look up to these guys, and it brings the standard up. Look what Knowledge has done to Zimbabwean football, like Kamabilia as well. They're even bringing bums to the seats at the stadiums as well. This is what we should do. And I think I heard this suggestion that FIFA might actually come up with that rule. I don't know if it's true or not. That once a foreign player, once he turns 30, you have to go back to play in your home country. I hope they do that. Maybe they should do it at 34, 35. That you cannot keep on playing as a foreign player, go back to your country and help develop football in your own country. I think that rule should apply, and everybody comes back to your home country and uplift. So for me, that's a good thing that these boys did, and we should applaud. There's more players. Imagine Masha Munezi coming back, Tinoka Dewere coming back, and they're all coming back. Jordan Zemura and them playing in their last days of professional football in Zimbabwe. How awesome that would be! So it is a good step. I think people have now seen that it can be done. It's good. Probably it's because of the financial input of Scotland and Simba Chiminya. They are now coming in, the financial muscle. We hope that this stays like this so that more players can actually make that easy decision to come back to play football in Zimbabwe.
Well, from the newest generation of derbies, Scotland versus Moors, we look to the oldest generation, the Battle of Zimbabwe at the Barber Fields between Highlanders and Dynamos. A 1-1 draw was the final score, Brian Blochua scoring for Highlanders and then Jairus Kosondo equalizing in the second half. Now, I have to admit, I was wrong, Steve. In the previous episode, I said both teams just going to knock it around, play for a draw, but it was an intense battle out there, and I was wrong. I was really anticipating a mild game, but both teams were playing for the win. So what do you think about that, Steve? Yeah,
huge crowd as always at Barber Fields for the biggest game in Zimbabwean football, traditionally anyway. First half was very exciting, played at quite a high pace there. And they were still going for it into the second half, and I thought they delivered an entertaining contest. In the end, I guess it's a fair result, Sips.
Yeah. What did you think about this match, Simba?
I think it was good that it was a share of spoils, but you look, Dynamos really one day did more because they are still down there, and after the result, you saw where they fall from the bottom, still wanted the win. But I just like the competition from both ends, and for Jairus Kosondo playing Division 1 last year, this year, and getting crucial goal for Dynamos. And I don't think as a player there is no another stage that you'd want to get a goal than being at BF against Highlanders, and he managed to do that. Also happy for Brian Lochwa, as a defender, going in there, get the lead for your team. And you look at Andrew Mbeba, The more he's used on the wing, the more he also comes in with those assists when he comes in with the crosses, and has been really good. And it has been a long time since they last had a goal from a set piece that Andrew Beba was involved in. But it was a good game, and as there's competition now coming in from the new rivalry in terms of derbies, more Scotland, but people would want to see what comes out of the old rivalry between Dynamos and Highlanders, and they managed to give us that entertainment.
Yeah, I think no matter what position both sides are sitting on, they're always going to provide spectacle for their fans, always something to play for. Dynamos, yes, back into the relegation zone, but I don't think they should have too much to worry about, just with the way they're playing. Kaindo's doing a really good job. I think they will, find themselves back out again.
Probably one win from those three is probably going to be enough, because it's just so packed there with teams battling against relegation.
It is. And also, speaking to one of the fans, you said we predicted on the wrong. We should have predicted not on the scoreline, but rather we'd finish the full 90 minutes, because down Highlanders versus Dynamos at Barberfields can get quite tense. But we got through the full 90. It was also a crucial point for Caps United, and they played Nika Diamonds, a 1-goal win. How is Caps feeling? What's the morale like now?
Yeah, we're excited. Yeah. This is one game that we were worried about, because if we had lost this game, it was going to plunge us back into the relegation zone, but a win was going to take us further away from the relegation zone, and that's exactly what happened. The boys did well. They played a good game, and the beautiful goal that was scored, I think it was a great team goal, and everybody is excited, everybody is pumped up, the fans are happy, and we can actually feel that we only need one more win, then we can be comfortable. We're comfortable now, but anything can happen in football. But for us to confirm our survival, we still need to get another 3 points from the last 9. So that we can be home and dry, and I don't think it's a difficult task from the 3 games that are left. There is MWOS, Chicken and Kwekwe. I'm sure we can get 3 points out of those 9. So the morale is very high at the camp now because of this particular win, and it came in very good style as well, because like I said, it was a very good goal. So we are all excited at the moment.
We're excited. Do you think the win, some might have called an upset against Simba Chiminya in match day 30, that helped propel the team, to be amped up in that match against Nika Diamonds?
Yeah, I think so, because nobody gave Cape United a chance to beat Simba Chiminya in Shamba, and the boys did well, and they got that win, and obviously confidence shot up as well, and they played well, and they're also pushing. I think this was the first time that Cape United have gone for 2 wins in a row under coach Ian Bakala. So everybody was pushing for that, and they felt that if there was any chance to do that, that was the chance, because Manika Diamonds were not as tough as Simba Chiminya, and they believed that if we could beat Simba Chiminya in Shamba, we can beat Manika Diamonds at Rufaro Stadium, and the guys went on to win this one, and it's quite exciting even for the fans to go 2 out of 2 in a long time. Yeah.
So match day 31, what a blockbuster of a weekend, and coming to the end of it, we're going to go talk about our team of the week. Now, it's quite hard to put this one together. So many good matches. Greenfield coming out 5-0 against Kwekwe, a whole string of results, the derbies that was going on, but we have come up to a final 11. So it's over to you, Steve.
Yeah, so as always, you tell us whether you agree or disagree. This is our opinion from what we've been watching over the weekend. So goalkeeper in our team of the week, Chicken Inn's Donovan Bernard, a penalty save, which ensured that Chicken Inn got a 1-0 win against Triangle, and that puts them in a pretty good position in the relegation battle there. In defence, we'll put Peter Mudua for Scotland. He shut out Billy Veremu, who was anonymous for most of the game for MWOS against Scotland. So Mudua, excellent in defence. So too was Kevin Moyo. Andrew Mbeba, will give him the nod for Highlanders. Brian Malochwa scored, but he did elbow Emmanuel Jalai in the face in the closing minutes. So we counted that against Malochwa. So Mbeba, his free kick was finished off by Malochwa. Good game in general as well. Emmanuel Jalai for Dynamos, another solid game from the Warrior there. In midfield, Walter Musona for Scotland, just an exceptional game. found himself in large pockets of space. Great passes forward from Walter. His assist to brother Knowledge resulted in the goal. Also in midfield, Ishmael Wadi for Caps United. What a good signing he's proved to be. Great game. His assist was superb. Wonderful work down the right from Wadi. Put over to Chris Mugalu, who fired it in first time. Other great contributions from Wadi. Abubakar Moffat for Moors, a player we've talked about a lot since he joined in July. Looks so good in midfield for Moors. He's been a big signing for them. Knowledge Musona, of course, he has to be there in our team of the week. What a brilliant goal it was from Knowledge. Rodwell Chinengatere, the two-time soccer star of the year. 2 goals for Green Fuel, has to be in our 11, as Rodwell made a massive contribution that sees Green Fuel out of the bottom 4. Not safe as yet, it must be said, but what a game from him. Fortune Binzi for Manika Diamonds on the losing side, but he put in a good work rate there and kept the boys at least in the game throughout. And Jairos Castondo for Dynamos, a well-taken goal, held on to possession, fired from outside the box. Yes, there was a deflection, but you get lucky sometimes, definitely. He must be in our team of the week. So that's what we think. You can post your comment in the comment section, but that's our 11.
Yeah, I also wouldn't have minded if you could have, for me personally, you could have switched out Kosondo or Leroy Mavunga. He also had a really good game up front for Dynamo, so either one of those two also could have done a good job. And our player of the week is going to be Walter Musona from Scotland. Absolutely sensational game, the assist, and just the way he's leading his team forward as the season goes. So he's our player of the week. So lots of exciting news coming out of the PSL. Scotland stretched their lead. But even more exciting news in Division 1. What is going on, Simba? I hear there's a lot of buzz and hum.
Yes, of course, exciting coming out to the end in the Eastern region, and now we've got a winner. It's FC Highlanders, the first team from Marondera to win promotion into the PSL. And the person who masterminded that is a 26-year-old. And Steve, you remember in 2019 when he interviewed Clifton Dzvairo,
yes,
when he was 220 and was an assistant at Sari, and he was saying, I want to lead a team in the PSL.
Yes, he came to Star FM. He was so ambitious then, and he wanted to learn everything, and it's a huge achievement.
Yeah, huge achievement at 26, and he's going to get into the Premiership as a 27-year-old coach.
Wow.
And they managed to do it with a game to spare. FC Highlanders winning 2-1 over 10X, and the good thing about them is they managed to beat all the title contenders in the Eastern region.
2 consecutive weeks.
Yes, and managed to do that. And how beautiful is it, Alois, as a coach at that age?
I don't know. I was never a coach at that age. I think it should be ecstatic. Yeah. At that age, I was at the top of my game, and here we are. We've got a coach that is already getting a team promoted to the Premier Soccer League. Outstanding. I watched the highlights of the game against Mashingo in Marondera, and the fans, they love him. He went to salute the fans, and I could actually see the rapport between him and the fans. My first comment was, Marondera City Council, you need to start renovating that stadium for the Premier League. We don't want to hear that these guys are coming to Rufaro Stadium to play their home games, with the support and the vibe that I saw at Marondera, at Rudaga Stadium. They deserve to play their Premier Soccer League games at Rudaga Stadium. So the council need to come to the party. They need to maintain that vibe. The fans were very loyal. They were coming to the games, supporting the team. And I'm excited for the young coach as well. I hope that he gets the financial backing, because it's not easy in the Premier League. You need to bolster your team. He needs to recruit a better, I don't want to say better players, but it's what it is. He needs that. So I hope he gets that backing, that he can recruit better so that he can withstand the pressure of the Premier Soccer League.
Yeah, and talking about that experience, Stephen Magatuka, former Caps United, also came in during the mid-season transfer window, added something, become a former FC Platinum as well, and Caps United. So they gave them something. Ngandu Mangala, you still remember him, Steve?
Yes.
Yeah, he's also part of that team, and he hope the team win the title. So we say congratulations to FC Highlanders. And still competition in the Southern region, but it looks likely that it's going to be Blawa Chiefs to lose it, because they are now 7 points ahead with 3 games to go. So it looks like they are going to win. 5-0 winners over NAST. And you look at the team in second position. Wanke, they were held to a goalless draw by MWOS in a Wanke derby. And Steve, you were talking about memorizing what was happening at NAST with Blue Chiefs running riot in that game.
Yes, and they still fielded the player who's at a potential dispute, an society who was claimed to have not been registered properly or played too soon, yes?
Yeah, but you look at the players that they have, I think they have got the strongest team in Division 1, if not all the regions, because they still have Marvin Kolo, Kelvin Madzongwe, you still have the likes of Matripos Mlea, the goalkeeper, Diego Msiwa, also there quite a number of players.
They are very strong.
Yeah, very strong. So I don't see them dropping the ball in the last 3 games of the season. And there's still competition in the Central Region Soccer League. So the 2 teams that are in the title race managed to win their games. Hard Rock, the log leaders, a point ahead of Shesham. They won 1-0 against Grand Tigers in a Kwekwe derby. And Shesham managed to win 3-0 away to ZRP Gwanda. And one player to talk about is the striker of Shesham, Wilfred Madzungu. He is the only player so far in the Division 1 leagues, or even when you also put in the Premier League, to go beyond the 20-goal mark. He is now on 23 goals. He managed to score a hat-trick on Sunday against ZRP Gwanda. And then coming to the Northern Region Soccer League is still Ngombe on top, leading a point ahead of Agama. They managed to come back into that game to force a 1-0 draw against Golden Eagles, and it looked like Golden Eagles were going to run away with the 3 points, but a last-minute penalty from Atadiwa Chibuku managed to get them a point in there. And when Ngombeora looked like they're dropping points, Agama also drew points because they were also held to a goalless draw by Black Rhinos. So a lot to still fight for in the Northern Region, Central Region, and in the Southern Region. For me, it's like Blue Chiefs are preparing for the coronation.
Well, in the Northern Region, we had some correspondents who were able to do a couple of interviews with the head coaches, Gorejena and Saruchera. So let's look at those and have hear as to what the coaches have to say.
The 90 minutes, coach, what do you make of the game after a disappointing first 45?
Probably not disappointing. Of course, we went leading. It was very fantastic in terms of our game plan. I think we had one of the best games this season in terms of the 3 values that I can allude to this game. That is fair play, sportsmanship, and showing integrity to football.
And then 3 games remaining. What would you say you are aiming for?
Of course, we are aiming to make sure that we remain the best team probably ever at Golden Eagles. We finished 62 points last season, and today we are 63 off the mark from last season, and we aim to finish 70.
Coach, what do you make of the game after 90 minutes playing against Golden Eagles?
I knew it was not going to be easy. We managed to get a point from the title contenders as well, although they may be 8 points behind, but it was not going to be easy, like I said. But we managed to collect a point. I can't say I'm happy, but I'm content with that point. It's going to push us all the way.
Okay, and then your words to Ngombe fans as we get to the business end of the season.
Let's keep on believing. We are a young team who is believing and believing. So we are just hoping to get the big one.
And then as a coach who takes his teams, most of the teams he manages into the Castle Lager Premier League, are you worried at this point in time?
I can't say I'm worried. We are in control. We are 2 points ahead. If the West comes to the West, we'll clinch by 2 points.
Okay, so thank you, coach, for your time.
Thank you so much.
Log tables leading in the PSL, it's Scotland, and in the MWOS predictor PSL, it is a tie in pole position. Simba and Icon 505, who have been jousting for the number 1 spot for quite some time. They're tied both on 1,126 points, and with just 3 matches to go, every prediction counts and every accuracy is very important. It's also a reintroduction to the top 10 for Adanya C. It's been quite a while since I've seen them in the top 10, but otherwise the rest of them remain somewhat the same. So, guys, do your predictions. Steve, how was your prediction this weekend?
I was hot, Sips, and I think I'm just shaping up for a really good season in 2026. So 2 correct scoreline predictions. I did change my Scotland Moors. I'd said on the show last week 2-1 Scotland, but I changed it. I went 1-0 and I was correct. Got my joker on Green Fuel. Unusual choice, but that's my strategy, to play my joker whoever Kwekwe United are facing. I didn't get the correct scoreline, but got 14 points there, so 48 points. Big weekend for me, Sips.
Yeah, I know, Steve. I also had a good weekend. 2 predictions correct. I got FC Platinum versus Talwan winning 1-0.
Nice.
And also Caps beating Monica Diamonds by 1-0. But I need to get more accurate with the joker. I put on the Highlanders-dynamos game. I predicted a draw, so I still got, a worthy 10 points. But it's frustrating when you don't put in the joker. So, guys, you hear Steve and I talking about a joker, having fun. If you also want to be a part of the fun, join the MWOS PSL predictor on fanzone.co.zw. There only are 3 matches to go, so there's not much to do. But again, preparing for next season, getting your strategies right, and also just having fun. Introducing a private league, maybe with friends, a little quick bet here and there to see who's the better friend and who can, do the predictions better. So head on over to fanzone.co.zw and get predicting. It's the Chibuku Super Cup semi-finals this weekend, and it's all going down. Dynamos and Highlanders yet again will be going toe-to-toe after their matchday 31 fixture. What's going to happen this time round? Will the matches from last time, from matchday 31, will the spoils bubble over into this match? What are you thinking here, Steve?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of tension and quite unpredictable contest as well, Sips. Yeah.
And for you, Simba?
Yeah, it's going to be really tough because you look at Peter de Jong effect when he came in. He just came into Highlanders, won that Chibuku Super Cup 2019, and I'm sure he was saying that he's back again to get that Chibuku Super Cup for him. And for Dynamos, the past 2 seasons they've been winning it, and they would also want to win it again this year. And for Kevin Kaindo, is 2 to lose, with Dynamos. So it's going to be really a close contest. And you look at these teams, they've been thriving on going through the penalties, and it's going to be really tough because we'll just wait to see who is going to get luckier than the other, because they've been thriving on that.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you a question. Is Dynamos going to take them to penalties? We know that this time around, Ariel Sabanda is also very handy in the gates for Highlanders, also to Tenda Makoni for Dynamos. So it's got to be interesting if they do go to penalties. I think that most likely will happen.
Yeah, and if it does, you've got to favour Dynamos there. As much as De Jong has put Ariel back as the first choice keeper for Highlanders, but unbeaten in penalties in the Chibuku Super Cup all the way since last season when they went through the whole tournament in shootouts. So if it goes to a draw, I'd certainly favour Dynamos there.
In favour Dynamos. All right. So let us know your thoughts and opinions on this match, the rerun of the Harare Derby, but this time in the Chibuku Super Cup. The next semi-final is MWOS versus Triangle at Mozingoni Stadium. A bit of an easier fixture for MWOS. Easier is the correct term here. Not easy, but easier. Taking Triangle away from their home. What are your predictions for this match, Simba?
Yeah, of course, MWOS are getting in the game as the favourites, and you know where they are in terms of the log standings, and also bowing out of the title race. I think the only thing that is left for them is to win the Chibuku Super Cup, and for Triangle coming into the semi-final of the Chibuku Super Cup on the backdrop of a defeat at home, I think in terms of sapping their energy and also failing to convert from the penalty spot, so I would give it to MWOS.
Give it to MWOS. You don't think the result against Scotland will affect their performance?
I think when you look at their performance against Scotland, it wasn't that they were really outclassed. They really battled in that game, and they fought hard, and they can take the positives from that performance and just use that at home. Particularly, we've been talking about the home fans from the small cities or communities, and the way the MWOS fans have been doing this season have been really phenomenal. They've been really good, and that is going to be a plus for them when they play Triangle.
I think the MWOS fans will be really Moors will be really hungry. The fans will be right behind them. Alois Bunjira with us, Caps United legend and marketing manager as well. Must be looking forward to a good 2026 because you've got a big sponsor, Alois. The players wearing green money on their jerseys now. The deal is with a bank from Lesotho. Yeah. It only starts in 2026, but the logo's already there. But can you explain a bit more about that deal? It was unveiled about 4 or 5 weeks ago.
We got the sponsorship. Yes, the deal was signed. Green dollar coin. That's the partnership that we have. Like you say, we already have a kit that is already with the green dollar, but that's supposed to be for next season. It's only that we unveiled the sponsorship when we were playing the Harare Derby, the big game. Mm-hmm. So we just wanted to give a bonus to the new partner, and we played with that jersey. But fortunately or unfortunately, the boys, they loved the kit. So they just decided, can we continue? Can we continue using the kit? And then we let them. Okay. We let them continue using the kit because it's actually out of goodwill between us and the sponsor that they can actually start enjoying. We've got nothing to lose. There's nothing to lose. They can start enjoying the mileage that comes with it. So yeah, we are. But the only thing that we've done is we are not producing the replicas for that yet. They were just using that because for the next season we are going to have a completely different design from the jersey design, different from the one that we are using now. But it's a good partnership, $1.4 million per year, which is quite a good amount. Not that Caps United were struggling financially. Honorable Jerry has been financing the team very well, and the team was already very liquid and very healthy as far as financial ability of the sponsor was concerned. But this is a top-up that we hope that is going to push the club forward, maybe probably recruit some of the best players as well, fight for the best players with Scotland, would want to compete at that level as well. So probably we might be able to be competing at that level next year. I think that's actually the number one advantage or the number one benefit from that financial input from the new sponsor is about the recruitment of the players. We want the best players for the team. Also, we want the best practices for the team, professionalism, putting things together so that the team can run as professional as it can be. And it's quite good to actually have a top team with such financial backing from the club owner and from the partnership as well. So we are excited at Caps United, and it's green dollar. It's coming in together with green machine, green dollar. So the two greens are coming in together to make a and the green jersey. So it's all Sunday, green. Right? Yeah. So the greens are rhyming very well, and I think this is a partnership that was actually made in heaven.
But you wore white jerseys on Sunday, didn't you? So you need to go back to green jerseys.
It was green and white. It was white and green. White and green. Yeah. That one was meant to be. That strip was meant to be the Chibuku Super Cup strip only. It was supposed to be that, but then the fans loved it. Everybody loved it, and we decided that when the green coin came, we decided to use that as the sample for the replicas and for the new jerseys for next year. So when we used it as a sample, people loved it again, so we carried on. But our home color, as you rightfully say, is green. Yeah. It's green and white, so it's going to be predominantly green, not the predominantly white.
It looked good. So there you are, Caps fans. So the club's been doing okay financially this year, but from next year, an extra $1.4 million per season to grow the club, to buy players, whatever. So look forward to a big season from Caps in 2026. Alois, while you're here, there's a fascinating story you told on Star FM to Ayati a few weeks ago about your career. We know that you were such a promising youngster in the Young Warriors All Africa Games, silver medalist in 1995, went into the senior team as well, went to South Africa. But you revealed that you played almost your entire career with a knee injury, and that's because there was a problem detected. This knee, correct?
The right one.
You were, that was Wieslow Grabowski, was the coach, was a mentor to you at that time?
No, I was at Caps United.
You were at Caps then, right?
Yeah.
And you were told to go for an operation, and you were told it's 50-50.
Yeah.
So if it works, everything will be 100%, but you were told if it goes wrong, you won't be able to play, and you never pitched up for the operation.
Yeah, it's an intriguing story, very interesting. Yeah, that's what happened. It happened in 1997. Towards the end of the season, I got into a tackle with Tafumani Dodo of Black Aces. Now I was sliding in to score the goal, and he was trying to slide to defend the goal, and I managed to get to the ball first, and he landed on my knee, and it twisted. So I went to the doctors for operation. At first they operated the lateral ligaments outside of the knee, and they said that I should come back on 27 January 1998 to assess the cruciate. They said that cruciate ligaments were damaged, and they were supposed to assess me. I went first for the assessment. They said that the operation needed to be done, so they wanted to check how soon we can do it. The doctor told me that this operation was very, very critical, and I wouldn't play if the operation doesn't go my way. There were 50-50 chances, either I get to play again or I'll never play again.
Never play again.
Yeah. That's exactly what he said. I think he was putting himself on the safe side, because there had been players before me that had a similar or the same injury, like Gifty Mdangwe. He never got back to his playing days. Sheikh Mentauro had the same problem as well. There was also Basil Chisopo had a similar problem. So I looked at those. They were also coming from Cape United, and I thought to myself, which way to go? So 28 January came. I never went for that appointment. I started training on my own, and I wanted to see because if the operation was going to be done, it was going to be done anyway. So I was still going to go back. So I took my chances of, let's see what happens first before I go for the operation. Because already there was the 50% chance that I won't play again. So I was holding on to that. So I went on, I started training. I consulted a few people. They said, you needed to strengthen your thighs and your calf muscles so that they can protect the knee. So I went to the gym, I started doing that. And it was more like I was feeling better, but it was feeling tired at times when I trained. But the turning point came when we were knocked out of the Independence Trophy semi-final by Dynamos, I remember 1998. And there was the third place playoff in Mlawayo against the Zimbabwe Saints. So I begged the coaches, because the league had already started. I think it was like 5 games gone. And now I begged the coaches that, this is a friendly match. Let me just go to Blawa and play. They were not comfortable, because when we played I think Watson Muhoni's memorial game in Kadoma, they gave me about 15 minutes and it didn't look good, So now against Dynamos, against Zimbabwe Saints, I asked to play. They say, okay, let's just go, but we will play you in the first half, not like what we did against the Dynamos in Kadoma. We'll play you in the first half so that if you are not okay, we'll take you out instead of bringing you in as a substitute and have to take you out again. Then we agreed, we made a deal that I was going to start. So when we started, first 10 minutes, I had already scored 2 goals.
Oh.
Yeah, and I ended up, we won 8-2 that game. And
Against Zimbabwe Saints.
Against Zimbabwe Saints, I actually scored 5 goals in that game. So after that, everyone was excited. They didn't care whether I was feeling okay or not. All they cared was, I played well, I did, but the knee was giving me pain, crucial, very, 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 very excruciating pain. But
after games or
during? After the game, yeah. You see, after training, I would sit maybe for 2, 3, 4 hours with pain. But I was soldiering on, and then after that game, they registered me for the league. So I started playing. I started playing in the league, and fortunately, I scored. By August, I had scored 11 goals at that time, and then that's when Peter Nyama came from South Africa to say, let's go to South Africa. Yeah. So I went. So I never thought about having this operation again, but after every game, I would sit in the tub with salt water and soaking it and everything. But slowly, the pain started going away, and lucky enough I transferred to Wits University. After I went to Wits University, now there were like better doctors there, and I was getting good treatment after the game, before and after.
So they knew about it
Yeah,
before you joined?
yes, they did, yeah. So after that I started playing well. Fortunately, I was actually player of the year for Wits University at that time, and I forgot about it, and to this day I'm sitting here. I never went for the operation.
Well, but on the other hand, if you'd had it and you'd been firing 100%, maybe you would have gone beyond South Africa to Europe.
Yeah, I think that's the unfortunate part. Looking back, I never reached the potential that I had. I never reached where I was supposed to, from my talent, the talent that I had, to think that I was only 21 then when I got that injury. And at that time I was already playing for the national team. I'd already played for the national under-17s, under-20s, under-23s, and I was on top of my game at that time. And I won the top goal scorer in the following year. That year I got injured. I think it was 8 games to go, and I won the top goal scorer. And the previous year, I had finished second, only to be overtaken. I had also had a bad injury. So for me, when I look at my career, the injuries put paid to what could have been. Because the previous year, I had the Achilles tendon rupture. I remember I had played half the season, and I scored 24 goals, and I finished second in the top goal scorer. I recovered from the Achilles tendon, then the following year I got the knee injury on the same leg. So you can imagine, if I hadn't had those 2 bad injuries, where could I have been? Or if the knee had been operated on and I had recovered 100%, where could I have been? But I went on to have a good career in South Africa with the injury, and I can only imagine what could have happened. But I can also imagine what could have happened if I had been operated and I didn't play. So I'm okay. I'm okay with the fact that I decided to take my chance to play, but I can only imagine where I could have been if I hadn't been injured at that early age in my career.
But overall, you'd say your decision probably was the best because it got you somewhere,
Yeah, it did. It did, because I had a good career. I had a good career in football, and I also got to study some as well in South Africa as well, and I also got to meet a lot of friends, and made good friends, good connections, good networks, and I'm also a South African citizen now by virtue of having taken naturalization in South Africa. So at the end of the day, I look at the road that I took, and I still believe that God had a plan for me to go that route. So probably I should thank God that it happened. I got to play again. Otherwise, probably I might have not played soccer again. So He gave me the chance to actually play soccer again. So I might regret here and there, but at the end of the day, I'll praise the Lord that I actually got to play again and got to where I got.
So now that you have had your career and you had a couple of injuries, are you always making sure that the junior is staying on top form, not getting injured, getting all the preventative measures?
There's nothing that I can do to protect him from injuries. These things happen in football. You can only wish and pray that he doesn't get that bad injury. If you remember very well, I think it was last year when he had a bad tackle from Highlanders-dynamos. I went ballistic. Those memories when I'm coming back, that this is how my career was derailed, and somebody was trying to deliberately derail such a young man's career as well. It's okay if it's an accidental injury, but when it comes like it's intentional, then it becomes frustrating, and I became emotional about it. But more so because I know how an injury can actually derail, because I know my career was derailed by injury. Because at that time when I got injured, especially when I got injured, the Achilles tendon, I was supposed to go to England for trials. At that time, I was just 2 weeks from going to England for trials, and it put paid because I stayed out of the game for 9 months. So the trial never came. And when I came back, when people were already looking to take me up again, because I came back on bang on form, started scoring goals again, and before you know it, everybody was talking about me going out to Europe again, and bang, the knee injury came. So I know what it is for a young person to actually get injured. So I can't protect him, but I can only pray and also give him tips of how to manage manage his physical condition so that he can minimize the injuries. But when a bad tackle comes in, I can't protect him. We can only pray that it doesn't happen to him.
Yeah, there's too much to create. Let's take a look at South Africa. Tell us more about your time at Wits. What was good about it? Player of the year. What are some of your memories?
Yeah, at Wits, I think I had my best football in South Africa at Wits. In the 7 years that I was there, I was player of the season 3 times. I was the top goal scorer at the club 4 times out of the 7, and I think I was the darling of the team in my years there. Remember, 7 years. I'm calculating because for 1.5 years I was away. I left Wits for Sundowns. For Mamelodi Sundowns for about 18 months. Then I came back to Wits to play for another 3 years. So it was a total of about 7 years. So it was a good time, because when I went to Sundowns, I was the player of the season. Then when I came back, the very same year I came back, I was the player of the season again and top goal scorer as well. So it was quite exciting that I was there, and because it was also in central Johannesburg, I got to learn a lot. Johannesburg is a dangerous place. It's not for weak people. There you have to be tough to survive there, and I'm happy I was there, and I enjoyed my career there. Even at Mamelodi Sundowns, I was there. But the only downside of my time in South Africa was when I moved to FCAK, because that was really a downside. Because
what about it?
Yeah, I moved from Jomo Cosmos when I was still at the top of my game. They promised us heaven on earth. At FCAK, they were like the Black Rhinos or the Scotland of South Africa at that time. They were in the first division. They wanted to get into the Premier League, and they lured a whole lot of us, Charles Johanne, Edo Bedina, and a whole lot of good players from South Africa. But unfortunately, a few months when we got there, the owner was arrested. I think it was for corruption, and everything just went down. We were contracted, and the money dried up, and we struggled a bit. And it was actually a bad time for all of us at that time.
What was your favourite partnership or combination? The one I remember most is Alois Bunjira and Stuart Shuto Murisa down either wing there in the late 90s at Caps United, at Blackpool as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think my first ever good partnership in football was with Robert Zomuya. Robert Zomuya, a lot of you know him as Chomondo. We played together at RNT as well. We started playing together as 6-year-olds for Black Wolves under 8. We went together to the same primary school, and we played together in the hot space under 10, under 12, under 14s, and we went together to Black Rhinos under 14, under 16. Then we went together to Context Styles under 16. We went together into the reserve side and got promoted together into the first team as well. With a very good partnership. But in between, Stuart joined in when we were at hot space under 12. That's when we started playing together as well. But overall, I would say that I enjoyed playing with both Stuart and Charles Johan. With Stuart, it was more of a competition. It was more of a I can say friendly rivalry. Very healthy rivalry where we pushed each other. We were playing for the same team, but we were competing against each other. If Stuart scores, I would make sure I would also score. If you dribble somebody, and if he's playing on that side, let's say he's playing against Simba Chiminya on the right side, if he's roasting Simba Chiminya, I would also go to him and say, let's change. I also wanna test. So we had that kind of competition. We competed for goals. We even competed on skills. We used to practice skills together. Competing. If I know a skill that he doesn't know, I would boast around, and before you know it, the next day you would come and doing it. You'd go and practice. I would do the same. So it was a healthy combination. But now the good thing is, when we were on the field, we knew each other very well. I knew that if Stuart is touching the ball this way, he wants to do this way, so I must go that way. So it helped us. The combination was very good. But with Charles, it was more like I knew that whenever he has got the ball on the left side, his crosses, I knew exactly where. I scored a lot of goals from Charles Yohane's crosses because I knew exactly where he wanted to put it. And sometimes you would tell me, I have the ball here, just go this way out. So we used to have that combination. So for me, I think those two combinations are the best combinations in my career. Yeah.
Wow, great stuff. Legendary stuff, great memories. Stuart Marisa was Soccer Star of the Year in 1996, wasn't
96,
it?
yes.
96,
yes.
Wow, what memories.
Yeah. So we're going to be also talking about your marathon that Alois is hosting in the Honde Valley and beyond the pitch.
So Caps United legend Alois Bunjira with us on Fanzone this week. And besides football, Alois runs the NetOne Albun Honde Valley Marathon, which the third edition is on the 22nd of November. Preparations are looking really good. This combines sport and tourism. It's in the glorious Eastern Highlands. That's your Kumusha. Tell us more, Alois.
Yeah, sport, tourism, and also wellness. Yes, this is exciting for me because I was born there, and I've always known that this is a very beautiful place, but I never knew of a way to tell people, the story of Honde Valley, how beautiful Honde Valley was. I started with a football competition, like a football tournament there, but I realized that football doesn't bring everyone. It just brings a certain section of the society, football fans. It doesn't bring everyone. But when I then started Albun Fitness Club, where we actually encourage each other to stay healthy, work out, run, it's a wellness group. We started looking for a way to actually get our own run because we were joining a lot of other marathons going on to keep that. Then we decided, we should get our own run, But the moment came when I visited Honde Valley and I was jogging in Honde Valley and I realized this is actually the place to be. I was bothering myself and everything. Now it connected. I also wanted to showcase Honde Valley to the people, and we always wanted to have our own run. And then it came together. And I called Brenda, my late partner. She was very much behind that, and I also called Andrew Rusike. Those were my close buddies in the fitness club. So I got them together, and I said, guys, I found a good place to. Then I took pictures, I showed them, and that's when they both agreed that this is a place to be. And we actually went there together to actually see the place because they'd never been there. So we actually drove there and we drove through the terrain, Eastern Islands and everything, and we agreed that we were going to do a marathon there. And we said the marathon was going to happen whether we are 3 of us or 10 or 20. So we just started talking about it, and we went to the group now and told the guys that we are starting a marathon. The response that we got was out of this world. Everybody was so excited when we started talking about it on social media, and people started coming through and saying they wanted to be part of it, and it was so encouraging. And for me, that was so touching, and I was so passionate about it because I come from there. This was my kumusha, and at last I had seen a chance. There was a chance for me to showcase the beauty of Honde Valley. Honde Valley is the most beautiful part of Zimbabwe, without a doubt. Right. And there I was having a chance to showcase that. So we started talking about it. Then that's when some corporates, First Mutual Microfinance, they were the very first corporate to come through. They gave us a call. They said they wanted to be a part of this, and they came in very strong, and we went along. We thought they were going to be our principal partner for the marathon, but about 3 weeks before, NetOne came knocking, very strongly. Wow. They came knocking, and they said they wanted naming rights for the marathon. We sat down with the management at NetOne, and the deal was sealed, and it became NetOne Albun Honde Valley Marathon. And in 2023, we had our inaugural marathon, which was highly successful. I think we expected about 50, 60 people for the first one, but we ended up having about 347 registered runners, and we were excited. And the following year, it was even bigger. We closed the registration at 800, but people came knocking after we closed registration. We ended up having about 1,100 runners for last year. So it was a big jump from 300 something to 1,000, almost 1,200. So we're expecting it to be bigger and better this year as well.
And there's a camping village as well, so there's transport and anybody can stay in the camping village.
Yeah, we now have a lot of partners. We've got a transport partner, which is CAG. They are the ones that are transporting our runners from Bulawayo, Nyanga, Mutare, Harare to Honde Valley. Then we also have the accommodation partner, like you said. We have got Nyarazo Group. They came in with the camping village. They will be offering a camping village. It's a double bed tent, and it's just $50 for 2 people, which is quite fair and affordable.
That's glamping, isn't it? Then?
Yes.
That's glamping.
Yeah, I think for the people that love camping, I think this is a perfect opportunity because the camping village is right in the Eastern Highlands, in the middle of tranquility, in the middle of beauty, and very close to the Pungwe River and Nyangombe. In between Pungwe River and Nyangombe River, you can walk to the Pungwe River, you can walk to the Nyangombe River, 2 beautiful rivers in Honde Valley. So it's actually quite brilliant. But we also have other accommodation partners like the Aberfoyle Lodge. We have got the Valley Lodges. We've got Pagotwe Lodge. We've got Platinum Lodges as well. They are also part of our hospitality partners as well. So we are excited about all the partnerships that we have, and we have seen the marathon growing bigger and bigger. And the icing to the marathon is the big bash that we have after the marathon. Oh, by the way, we also have the business exhibition at the marathon. You see, we do the marathon in the morning. In the afternoon, we do the business exhibition. Then in the evening, we've got the big bash. So we're expecting some big artists this year as well.
That's good. So, Alois, you mentioned that your marathon is getting bigger and better. And one way it's got bigger and better is that your marathon is now certified.
Yes.
What does that mean? Where can you be certified?
Yeah, this has been our dream, this has been our dream, and behind this push has been Brenda Junoro. She knew about the advantages of having that, so we have been trying to knock on the NAS World Athletics door so that we can be certified. This only means that the marathon is now registered or is now recognized as an international race. It's now a qualifier if you want to do the Boston Marathon, or you want to do the Chicago Marathon, you want to do 2 Oceans, you want to do the Comrades Marathon. It's actually a qualifier for those. For Zimbabweans, they are so more attached to the Comrades Marathon, so we can actually safely say that this marathon is now a qualifier for the Comrades Marathon. What it means is the route is measured so that it's actually standard according to the World Athletics Board. The 42 kilometers is 42 kilometers. Then you have ran 39 instead of 42 kilometers. So everything, the starting position, all the loops, the turns, the bends, and everything, the route is correctly measured. So what they do is when they are measuring the route, they are measuring the shortest possible distance to the finishing point. So the shortest possible distance to the finishing point should be 42 kilometers if they are measuring the 42 kilometer stretch. So if the curve is going this way, so they measure the shortcut. The way the athletes run, they always take the shortcut. So that is what they are measuring. They want the shortest route towards that. But some other athletes who are not experts, they can actually follow the curve and everything. You may end up running 43, 44 kilometers. But the ones that they know that the shortest distance is like this. So this is what they go to measure, because they don't want anybody to run less than 42 kilometers. It has to be 42 kilometers plus.
So you had Coach White doing that. He was on Fanzone a few weeks ago.
Yes.
Telling us about the Jones counter.
Jones counter. I got to learn about this Jones counter as well. The bicycle. I had a lot of questions why they don't just use a car or just use a motorbike or something. But there was something that he explained about the bicycle, this slower rotations of the wheels, so that the Jones counter can actually pick the number easily. It's because it counts the rotations per second, I think. And it was quite a learning point for me as well. But I felt sorry for him because the terrain is very tough. Cycling all the 42 kilometers and doing all the markings and everything. I felt sorry for him, but he's a professional. He did a very good job, and we appreciate him, and we still do appreciate him. And we have also invited him for the marathon as our VIP guest, to actually appreciate what he has done for us, because now our marathon is one of 7. There's only 7 marathons in Zimbabwe that are certified. So we are one of them, and we are excited about it. So we do appreciate. So definitely our marathon is now certified, recognized by the World Athletics Board, and we are actually on the calendar. They know that we are there. They know that there's 22nd of November in Zimbabwe. Something is happening.
Well, that's brilliant. Your marathons continue to get bigger and better, and even bigger sponsorship. Sponsorship has always been a talking point in sports, particularly in Zimbabwean sport, from the corporate world, from private businesses. And recently, it was rumored that the under-21 ladies actually might not make it to Santiago, Chile, due to the lack of sponsors. But after appealing, the HAS Association, the Hockey Association of Zimbabwe, after appealing to the Ministry of Sports, Arts and Recreation, they've been granted enough sponsorship to go to Chile. So that's brilliant news, Steve, that our girls are able to go and have a good experience, because they qualified for the World Cup. Since 2019, we haven't missed qualification except for the COVID years. So it's brilliant.
We had Cliff from Hockey a few weeks ago on Fanzone, and he was telling us all about it. Would have been a shame if they had dropped out. So, thanks to government for that.
That's great work. We also had Sean D'Souza on the last episode, and he was promoting the Sean D'Souza Rugby tournament, promoting the real values of sport, friendship, camaraderie, saying a no to drugs, a healthy lifestyle. And he hosted the tournament over the weekend, and it was a big success. Good turnout, the kids were happy, it looked like fun. And I'm almost disappointed I didn't get to go, Steve, but it was obviously a good turnout and going back to the roots of sport and rugby.
Yeah, and I think he publicised it really well, and it was a hectic weekend with the Scotland Moors games. They didn't get to go there as well, but that's really great that it worked out.
But have you guys registered for the marathon yet?
Oh, you see, running marathons, maybe a half one, but
There's 5 kilometers.
There's
5 kilometers. We've got 10 kilometers. We've got 21 kilometers, and the 42, the full marathon. You can take a peek. You can walk.
You have a runner on your left side.
Huh?
You have a runner on your left side.
Yes. 5Ks is good for me.
So registration is still open. Registration is still open. People are still registering, and we're still expecting a big number, like I said. And we want you guys to come along.
Yeah, and camping, me and Mrs. V have got a newfound love of camping. Actually,
camping is beautiful.
Especially in the Eastern Highlands.
Yeah. So what we have is now we've got a camping village from Nyaradzo, and we also have a camping site, the Pungwe River camping site, where those with their own tents can actually come and pitch and do your camping.
We've got ours, but you can't fit a double bed in it, so yours sounds better.
Yeah. So we have that camping facility where ablution facilities, showers, and everything is sorted. But next to the Pungwe River, when you're sleeping, you can actually hear the roar of the Pungwe River.
Sure.
It's quite beautiful out there. Yeah. So guys, come register, and we'll see you in Wonderland. Simba, you didn't say.
I'll come.
It's going to be exciting to see how the marathon turns out. So we're going to chat to you a little more later. But Ngezi have finally taken action, and Take Short Chirabi, the head coach, has been suspended. So let's talk about that in Rumours and Rubbish. One of the highlight stories from Matchday 29 is when Dynamos played Ngezi. Head coach Take Short Chirabi, and we all know the story, slapped McDonald Makue. Statements were released by the PSL. He even dropped out from being the Warriors assistant coach, and even McDonald Makue released a statement saying it was an accident. But Ngezi Platinum Stars as a whole have taken action, and he has been suspended for 3 games, and his assistant Kumbira Mutiwekuzira is now up to the full plate. So interesting results. The verdict was had before they played Simba Chiminya, and they actually won that game 2-1. So maybe his presence have been left in good hands.
Yeah, Mutiwekuzira is a very good coach. He was Herentals coach, but we know it wasn't an accident. He had it coming. At least the season's about to end. He's got time to put it behind him and to start afresh next year.
Yeah, I think he got quite lucky since towards the end of the season. Maybe that's why they only had 3-match ban. But he'll come back for the last match of the season. We also saw yet another PSL coach getting axed, Simba Chiminya of Kwekwe United, after an embarrassing 5-0 loss, but also just the whole season. He's not going to be there anymore. What are your thoughts on this, Alois?
Yeah, I saw it. I thought they got relegated, I think, a few games ago. You know, I would have thought maybe they would just let him finish the season and part ways. You know, sometimes, you know, just give somebody the dignity, the respect, you know, and part ways, you know. But I don't know. Maybe there was something behind the scenes that we don't know. Or maybe they want to bring in a coach for next season who should start rebuilding the team from the last 4 games or so. I don't know. Yeah, but I would have thought that they could have just let it go and let him finish the season.
Because what point did that become bad results?
Yeah,
this is 10 points from 31 games, so
yeah.
it's not recently they've been bad results, they've been bad the whole season.
Yeah, I totally agree with Alois that there must be something behind that the club is not telling us, and you know, just being quick to release a statement and tell us that he has been suspended because of poor results doesn't really add up, because you look, his assistant who was also there, Clifton Dzvairo, has been put in as the interim coach and take charge of the remaining games of the season, so something not really adding up there. Maybe Masimba had something to say.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that maybe a little bit more. Let us know in the comments what you guys think. A topic we spoke about earlier on is Scotland are hiring and bringing in players into their own sides, and it seems like Mason Mashura is rumoured to be eyed by Amazulu from Highlanders. So, interesting result that Amazulu would have interest in Mason Mashura. Yes, good player, but just in my own personal opinion, he doesn't have that wow factor in order to be transferred there. What are your thoughts?
I think he has been playing well, one of the standout performers for Highlanders this season, and I think that's the reason why even coach MWOS took him to Morocco when he played those friendly matches. And when you look at him the way that he has started this season, he has really played well. And good thing that Amazulu are looking at Zimbabwean players. I think it's also because of the way that Thando Ngwenya has managed to settle at Amazulu and been playing well. And there's also a rumor that probably the Amazulu are also looking at Takunda Benura from Angeze Platinum Stars. So for Mason Mashura, I don't have any doubt that he can go in and fit in that Amazulu team.
He's a good player. He's a very good player. He's one of those players that if you don't watch closely, you may miss his contribution to the game. But very highly technical. I've watched this boy grow. He came through my academy as well, and I know his abilities very well. We used to call him Sergio Biscuit, you know, and he is like that. You know, he can hold the midfield on his own, and he has got the ability to play the short and long passes as well. He hasn't really blossomed to his potential. We'll see more of him as he grows, but he is a very, very good player. You know, that's why Joe Lupasha coached him only for a few games at Golden Eagles. He's the one who took him to Highlanders when he went to Highlanders. Remember that time? He had seen enough of him. Maybe if he's given more time and more, because at Highlanders now he was playing with seasoned players, and you know, sometimes when players are playing with seasoned players, you tend to get into a shell. When he comes out of his shell and becomes and believes that he's one of the key players, when he starts playing his own game, I'm sure you will see the brilliance of the boy. Because for me, I think he could have gone even last year. He was supposed to go to Slovakia, remember, for trials, and it never materialized. So I'm not surprised that they are having a look at him at Amazulu. He should make it. Maybe when he is now playing there and showing off what he can do, I'm sure a lot will appreciate. But I know that he has got so much ability.
Well, let us know what you guys think in the comments. Guys, there have been so many games being played throughout the PSL season, Division 1 season, and even in the fan zone, it's game time week 9. Congratulations to the winners, last week's winners. If you got it correct, remember AI chooses the winners. So if you didn't get a prize this time around, it's unfortunate, but keep banging on. Maybe you'll get lucky next time. This week's game time question is very simple. In fact, almost too simple. And it's how many points Scotland FC currently sitting on in the Castle Lager PSL log. So remember to head on over to fanzone.co.zw. You'll see the game time week 10 link. Punch your answer in and cross your fingers, you might get lucky. But it's been a great episode, Simba Chiminya and Alois Bunjira. Thank you so much for sitting in the Fanzone with us. I'm looking forward to hearing more about your marathon. I think it's going to be great, and more about that. If you have enjoyed this content, make sure you like, subscribe, comment. Also, once you have subscribed, turn on the notification bell so that you are alerted every time we upload a video. Larry's Look at the League, the Fanzone Podcast. It's absolutely booming on the Fanzone video side. Also follow us on social media, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.